Okay, so first let me look into the company background. OSK Holding Berhad. OSK Holding Berhad is a company that involved in the construction industry. They have in around 1,001 to 5,000 employees. Their headquarters is in Kuala Lumpur. OSK Holding Berhad is a public company which has been founded since 1963. Their specialties is in construction, property, financial services, hospitality, and manufacturing. Next, let me look into the factor to consider having a segment reporting. There are 4 factors to consider having a segment reporting. First, nature of the product or services. Second, nature of production process. Third, type or class of customer for the product or services. And lastly, method used to distribute the product or provide the services. So let me look into the first factor, nature of the product or services. So for OSK Holding Berhad, their nature is on both the product and services. Their major segment consists of construction, property, financial services, hospitality, and manufacturing. Second, nature of production process. So for property, they are divided into 2, property development and property investment and management. For property development, their nature is development of residential and commercial properties for sale, provision of project management service, and sharing of results of associates which are involved in property development activities. While for property investment and management, their nature is management and letting of property, contributing rental yield and appreciation of property, and sharing of result of an associate and a joint venture which deal with letting of office space and retail space. Next, for construction. Their nature is building construction revenue derived from the property development project carried out. Third, for hospitality. They are divided into 2 segments, which are hotel and resort under Swiss Garden and SDI Vacation Club. For hotel and resort under Swiss Garden, the nature is management and property of hotel and resort, including golf course operation, room rental, food and beverage revenue, and fee incomes. While for SDI Vacation Club, the nature is management of vacation timeshare and sale of timeshare membership. And lastly, for industry, they are divided into 2 segments, which are Olympic Cable and Ecotech Industrial Building System (IBS). So, for Olympic Cable, the nature is manufacturing and sale of power cable and wire. While for Ecotech IBS, their nature is manufacturing and sale of IBS concrete wall panel, and trading of building material. Next, let me look into the type of segment. So for OSK Holding Berhad, they are divided into 2 segments, which are business segment and geographical segment. For business segment, let me talk about the business segment first. So for OSK Holding Berhad's business segment comprises of construction, property, financial services, hospitality, and manufacturing. While for the geographical segment, OSK Holding Berhad conduct its business activity in Malaysia, Vietnam, and Australia. And lastly, I will talk about the shift of decision making, CODM, and its responsibility. So, who is the CODM for OSK? So, for OSK Holding Berhad, their CODM is Mr. Ong Juzim, which is their managing director. Why? This is because managing director's scope of responsibility will include overall responsibilities over the operating unit, organizational effectiveness, and implementation of board's policy and decision. So, as a CODM, what would be Mr. Ong Juzim's responsibility? So, as CODM, Mr. Ong Juzim's responsibility would be first, to assess the performance of various segments. Second, to decide on allocation of resources to the segment. Third, to identify the nature of business as both production and services. Fourth, to identify the existence of managers responsible for the business activity. And lastly, the information gained by Mr. Ong Juzing will be reported to the Board of Directors. So I think that's all from me. I will pass this presentation to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hello, I am Tengku Aiman binti Omar Baki. I am going to present about segmental report. For this business operating segment, the operating segment will be analyzed using quantitative and percentage whole test to classify the business segment into reportable segment or non-reportable segment. The 10 percentage whole test can be calculated any three methods, which are using revenue, profit or loss, or identifiable asset. For our assignment purpose, we use revenue method in conducting 10% threshold test. If the operating segment meet 10% threshold test, it is classified as a portable segment. Information for operating segment that do not meet 10% threshold requirement are not classified as a portable segment, and it is to be combined and disclosed under all other segment category. Based on OSK Holding Berhad report, the combined revenue of all operating segment is amount 1,779,531,000 ringgit. Next, we look to the company's report. Based on the property segment, the percentage after divide between external and internal revenue will, with combined of all operating segment, is 39.51%. Since 39.51% exceed the 10%, hence the property segment is classified as a reportable segment. Same goes to the construction, industries, financial services, investment holdings. Since the calculated percent exceed 10%, hence the segments are reportable segment. However, the calculated percent of hospitality are less than 10%, so it is classified as non-reportable segment. Moving to operating profit or loss, there are 4 out of 5 segments that incur, which are property, construction, industry, and financial service investment holding, while there is only 1 segment that incur loss, which is hospitality. To calculate the 10% quantitative threshold test, if there are segment incur profit, the profit that particular segment needs be divided by total profit income by all other profitable segment, while if the segment incur loss for that particular segment needs to be divided by the total loss income by all the segment that incur loss. So, for this company, there are 3 segments that exceed the 10% quantitative threshold test, which are property, industries, and hospitality. So, all of these segments are categorized as reportable segment, while the construction and financial services investment holding will categorize as non-reportable segment because it does not exceed the 10% threshold test. Now, we move on to the segmental report of identifiable asset test. As we can see, the total of assets for all segments is 8,261,501,000 ringgit were in from the 5 business segment asset. To find the 10% threshold test, we need to calculate total individual asset divided by the total asset of all segments. After we calculate the 10% quantitative threshold test, there are 2 out of 5 segments are qualified as reportable segment, which are property and financial service investment holding, while the others are non-reportable segment because they are not qualified the 10% threshold test. The next one will be on 75% threshold test. From 10% test, we have already identified the segment will be reported. So for our company, we have reportable segment for property segment, construction, industries, and financial service investment holdings. The first step is total of the external revenue of reportable segment. The total external revenue of reportable segment is 1,037,340,000 ringgit. Next, use the 75% test. Total external revenue of reportable segment will be divided total external divided by the total revenue of the company. So the total external revenue of the company will be 1,085,511,000. So the answer will be 95.56%. So 95.56% compared to the 75%, the percentage is more than 75%. It is therefore complied with the 75% threshold test. So, move on to the conclusion. The entity's total revenue is 95.56%, which met the condition of 75% threshold test. This combined external revenue, which is a reportable segment, were property, industries, and financial services investment holdings. So, no need to identify additional reportable segment. Okay, next we move to the advantages and disadvantages reporting to respective company. First of all, I want to explain about advantages. First is better understanding. The users can better understand the performance of the company as the users can successfully evaluate the information about the company's various segments. Next, risk and return assessment. The lenders and investors can access the risk and return of the company and analyze the information relating to the segment associated with investment lending alternative. Third, useful for decision making. It can provide useful information for the investor and creditors to make proper investment decision in the company. Fourth, the creation. The company can increase profitability by achieving growth in the sales from the various segments and create sustainable value for stakeholders. Okay, let's move to the disadvantages. First, high pressure. Higher pressure of the management in preparing the information of the all segment to ensure the information is useful for the users. Second, incur high costs. The company may incur high costs in providing segment information to the external users. Third, reliability problem. The information may be unreliable because of the difficult in defining the segment by the users. The last one is intense competition. It will lead to competitive damage of the company as the confidential information about the profitability of the company will be revealed to the competitors.
Now it's time for part B, which is interim reporting. First, the basis of preparation. For OSK Holding Berhad, the basis of preparation of the interim report is to use the interim method, where the accounting period of interim reporting helps complete the accounting cycle and the company spreads accruals and expenses across all periods, even when the company incurred these events in some periods and not in others. OSK Holding Berhad have been prepared interim financial statements in accordance with MFRS 134 Interim Financial Reporting and paragraph 9.22 of the listing requirement of Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad. The financial report should be read in conjunction with the audited financial statements of the group for the year ended 31st December 2019. The last one is the financial statements also have been prepared under the historical cost convention presented in Ringgit Malaysia, and all values are rounded to the nearest thousand. Next, we move to the accounting policy. OSK Holding Berhad have been prepared the financial statements in accordance with Malaysian Financial Reporting Standards (MFRS), International Financial Reporting Standards (IFRS), and the requirements of the Companies Act 2016 in Malaysia. First, accounting policy, property, plant and equipment. In OSK Holding Berhad, the recognition, measurement and significant judgment property, plant and equipment are recognized when it is probable that the future economic benefits will flow to the group and the company. The property, plant and equipment are initially measured at cost and subsequently at cost less accumulated depreciation and accumulated impairment losses, if any. Freehold land, golf course and freehold land are not depreciated. This capital in progress is not depreciated until such time when the asset is available for use. For the depreciation is calculated on a straight line basis to write off the cost of each asset to its residual value over estimated useful life. The estimated useful life represents common life expectancies applied in the industry within which the group and the company operate. So, this table is the principal depreciation periods and annual rates used. Second, accounting policy, investment property. Investment properties of the OSK Holding Berhad, these investment property are recognized initially at acquisition cost, being the fair value of consideration paid, including related transaction costs, and subsequently measured at fair value. Investment property under construction is measured at fair value if the fair value is considered reliable, but for which of the group expects that the fair value of the property will be reliably determinable when construction is completed. Therefore, is measured at cost until either the fair value becomes reliably determinable or construction is completed, whichever is earlier. Subsequent expenditure is capitalized to the assets carrying amount only when it is probable that future economic benefits associated with the expenditure will flow to the group and the cost of the item can be measured reliably. All other repairs and maintenance costs are expensed off when incurred. When part of an investment property is replaced, the carrying amount of the replaced part is de-recognized. Gains or losses arising from changes in the fair values of investment property during the year are recognized in the profit or loss. So the note provides information about the investment properties held by the OSK Holding Berhad to generate rental income and benefit from capital appreciation.
I will continue the presentation with the type of interim reporting that prepared by OSK Holding Berhad. Interim reports that prepared by OSK Holding Berhad is quarterly interim report, which is the report have been prepared by each 3 months started month of January until December. This report consists summary of collection of unaudited contents consolidated financial statement such as statement of financial position, statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, statement of cash flow and explanatory notes. This is a reporting period for OSK Holding Berhad. The company took the last quarter, which is the fourth quarter, for the current period. For each financial statement, for the first financial statement is statement of financial position. Current period for that statement is started 1st October 2020 until 31st December 2020, and the comparative period is a previous year, which is 2019, started 1st October 2019 until 31st December 2019. Next is statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income. The current period consists two, which is the last quarter and cumulative. The last quarter is started 1st October 2020 until 31st December 2020, which is consists 3 months, and the cumulative is 1st January 2020 until 31st December 2020, consists 12 months, and have to compare with the previous year 2019. For the statement of change in equity, current period for that statement is started 1st January 2020 until 31st December 2020, and the comparative period is a previous year, started 1st January 2019 until 31st December 2019. Same goes with the statement of cash flow. Current period is a 1st January 2020 until 31st December 2020, which is a cumulative, and the comparative period is a previous year 2019. This is adjustment that made by OSK Holding Berhad, which is a significant events during the year. On 19 November 2020, the company subscribed for 2,700,000 new ordinary shares in OSKS at total cash of 2,700,000. Accordingly, the issue and paid-up ordinary share of OSKS increased from 300,000 ringgit to 3 million ringgit. This is the effect of adjustment, which is before adjustment and after adjustment. And the financial statement that involved is Constant's consolidated statement of financial position as at 31st September 2020, which is the third quarter extracts. The next adjustment that made by OSK Holding Berhad is on 30th September 2019, the company subscribed for 749,998 new ordinary shares at total cash of 749,998. Accordingly, the issue and payout ordinary share increased from 2 ringgit to Rm 750,000. And this is the effect of the adjustment before adjustment and after adjustment. And the financial statement that involved is also Constant's consolidated statement of financial position as at 30th June 2020, which is the second quarter extract.